Back on Open Court, head coaches here from Las Vegas. We touched on part of your responsibility as a head coach is dealing with the media on a regular basis. But there's a lot of it, and there's more media than ever. National, international, traditional media, non-traditional media, digital, social media, etc. What to you crosses a line in terms of fair versus unfair questions?
You know, I went from Ames, Iowa, where there was two people there, the Des Moines Register and the Ames Tribune, and you go into Chicago and you got 30 people there every day with all the different news stations and all the radio people, and then you got the different newspapers and the columnists, and now you got the bloggers. And you know, the hard thing is there's so many rumors that get thrown out there, and the lack of accountability for the stories that are false. That's hard. It's hard to deal with that a lot of times. But it is what it is. It's the era that we live in. You know, social media, in my opinion, is going to be the end of all of us eventually. It's just there's so much negativity out there that you have to deal with. But, you know, it's part of the job. It's a part of the pressure that we deal with. You know, as far as what's fair, what's not fair, I don't think you worry about that. You just try to do the best job you can as far as getting the message that you want out there.
You've been really outspoken on a lot of topics, obviously. What in your mind is inbounds, what's out of bounds in terms of a question to an NBA head coach?
That's a hard question to answer. I mean, you know, I think, you know, Fred said it. You're going to get a ton of questions. People are going to try to set you up. The number of times you meet with the media, especially on a playoff game, like shoot around before the game, after the game. So they're firing everything at you. You know, they're going to ask you a trick question, and they're going to set you up, and you have to answer it diplomatically, but maybe get your point across and try to give them enough to feed the beast, but maybe not too much that's going to expose your team. And you're always, it feels like you're kind of always walking a fine line with that.
Over the line is when they try to tell you what you should have done, you know, and if that's not my philosophy, that's not what I believe in, you shouldn't tell, you know, the coach what he should have done. It's already tough on us as it is, and, you know, when that happens, you know, it's tough. But just dealing with the media, like Steve said before, you know, a playoff game, you got, you know, after shoot-around, you got ESPN radio, then you get to the arena, you got to sit down with the ESPN crew, then you got Fox Sports, then you have the podium. Then you come back, you got an interview between the first or the third quarter. And you got the post game. I mean, it's just like 7 times a day, and, you know, you have to be on. No matter if it's a tough game, tough loss, you know, you have to be, you know, ready for that media. And, you know, Doc Rivers taught me that a long time ago. You know, I used to go watch his press conferences, you know, when I was assistant coach. And, like, how could you just handle that question so easy? Like, it's a tough question, tough situation, tough circumstances, but he was always great, and he always had a way around it, you know, and to answer the question, but always avoiding the question, if you understand what I'm saying.
For the record, I've had lots of people avoid my questions over the years. I'm pretty used to it. Igor, are you ready for all that?
Well, we'll see, but I don't have a choice. I think it's a part of the package, right?
You don't have a choice.
You know, definitely, I think you have to be respectful. We understand how media is important, and it's a bridge between consumers, the fans. We play and we enjoy doing what we love and what we have a passion for, and it's all about the fans. Like Coach Mike was talking about, you have to be yourself and show them respect, and you shouldn't be afraid to make decision. Every decision take the risk. When it comes to the starting lineup rotations, why you didn't do it something or you did, I think you shouldn't be scared to coach and make decision for your team. And then if you win the game, you're right, and if you lose, you're definitely wrong. So that's it's a very simple.
These are obviously great jobs. There are only 30 of them in the world, but there's a lot to it. What grinds on you over the course of the 82 and then the playoffs? Not to mention the preseason.
I mean, I enjoy it. You know, we take it one day at a time, one game at a time, and when you have a good group such as I did this year, it was fun. You know, it was really fun to come in and go to work, and the season seemed like it went by fast. You know, our guys came. It did.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
It just seemed like it went by, you know, fast. I enjoyed coming in and working with our guys, and
it really wasn't much of a grind, but this is probably one of many years that I've had a season like this.
Yeah. I hear some disagreement, some dissent over here.
I wasn't disagreement. I was laughing because I've had those years. I've had those years. I've had different years where challenges come up, and the pressure is different for different people because your expectations are higher or lower. We have great coaches. Some coaches win 28 games and do a great job. Well, because they should have won 24, and they owe, but everybody else, as soon as you sign somebody pretty good, they're going to make the playoffs. Maybe not.
You kind of chuckled at Nate saying the season flew by. What do you think you've learned in your still relatively short head coaching career about managing the season, especially the length of season you've had?
I don't know. Still trying to figure that out. I've been coaching for 2.5 years, but it feels like it's been 10. I swear, I promise. And, going to the finals 4 years straight, playing against Steve. And it's a tough grind. I mean, for me, it is. I mean, for me, it was. It was a tough grind, every year. Just, our team had a lot of scrutiny. And, when you have the best player in the world with LeBron, if he wears a different shoestring in his shoe, it's a story. Or, if he walks by the bench and didn't see you have your hand out, it's a story. So it's just like, from week to week, you never know what you're going to get. And that's the toughest part because I'm more of a shy, guy. I like to be in the background, like the media attention, So when you look on TV and you see the Cavs on TV every single day and it's about something, it's tough because I love the game of basketball so much. And, you want to watch and you want to see what everyone's doing. But then again, like Igor said, you can't read it. You can't look at it. You just got to kind of stay in your place and stay in your lane. And that's probably been the most difficult part.
Here's wishing you a season that flies by like Nate's did.
I hope so.
Well, I appreciate your attention in this setting, at least. Answering all these questions.
I was ignoring you for a second.
Guys, this was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Igor, Mike, Steve, Ty, Nate, Fred, thanks one and all.
Thank you very much.
That'll do it for Open Court. Coaches from Las Vegas. You first arrived?
One thing that gives me a lot of hope, just for America, I think the kids are respectful, work hard, and good to coach. Back when I started playing back in the 70s, I don't think it was that, it was good, it was okay. I think it's better. I think the youth is, and I know a lot of old people like to bash them sometimes, but I think they do a great job. And the ones that they give me energy, to see them, 22 trying to make the league and all that, and I find it refreshing. So I think the league's better. It's a better place.
Yeah, it's a different league than when I came in. It's just a much younger league. It's almost like a college atmosphere, with these young guys. And I was just talking to my assistants about we're talking about super teams. And we're calling, Golden State a super team. And they are, with this group. But, I came in when there was a Bird and Pesh and McHale and Dennis Johnson. You had, 5 players that could be all-stars and were solid players. In the West, it was Magic and Cooper and Worthy and Kareem, all on the same team. It was a lot of talent. And I think, because of the expansion, the talent has spread it out. But it's a different league. It was it was more of a men's league, years ago. And now it's a young man's league. You got guys who are coming in who are 18, 19, 20 years old.
Steve, for you seem to be doing pretty well with this version of the league. Are there things you miss about the 90s era NBA when you came up?
Well, I don't know if it's anything I miss, but it's so different because back then you had all these dominant low post guys.
Right.
It was such a different game. One night to the next, you're having to go against Ewing or Olajuwon, David Robinson, Shaq, Tim Duncan. It seemed like there were about 9 or 10 really dominant low post guys. So the whole game was different. And I think maybe because the younger players now are coming up through the ranks, the big guys, they're coming up shooting threes and handling the ball. They're also coming to the league maybe after 1 year of college. So they're not developing that low post game. So the game is just spread out entirely. And I think it's really fun right now. I think the players are unbelievably skilled, but it's dramatically different. You know, just watching like on, you know, classic sports, whatever, and you see a finals game from the 80s, nobody takes a three. You know, the game's played in a radius of like that. And now it's like this. And so you have to cover so much ground. You no longer have to deal with the big guy down low, but you got to deal with the space and all the speed and quickness on the perimeter. So it's just a totally different game.
But this could all be changing, right? I mean, you've got a young big guy there who can play a little inside, a little outside, and we had a bunch of big guys taken in this draft. Do you see a time where we revert back at least a little bit to some post play?
Well, it seems like it just, you know, watching and coaching overseas and watching what the game is right now, seems like we're posting up more guards and then the bigs are playing in the perimeter. So it is about matchups. It's about mismatches. And every good offense is based on the balance between inside game and getting in the lane and shooting threes. So we can be ignorant and accept or don't, you know, when it comes to the analytics, but, you know, attack the ring, get in the paint and shoot threes. So we are searching for those kind of players.
Now, Fred mentioned studying defensive switching, which is all over the place right now in the NBA. Is there a point at which you can switch too much? It seemed like sometimes during the playoffs, teams would give up the switch too easily and allow the player that the offense wanted to attack to be attacked.
I mean, it's about what you believe in. And I think, you know, Mike and Steve, as far as switching, they're the two best teams at doing it. You know, it's funny because you got to have the personnel to do it.
Right.
And sometimes if you don't have the personnel, you still got to live with it. And, you know, it's a tough situation, a tough dynamic. When they go to the small lineup with Draymond Green at the 5, I mean, they can switch 1 through 5. I mean, you have Klay Thompson, who's probably one of the best defenders I've seen in a long time, who can guard perimeter, but he also can guard the post up. And, you know, it's not a disadvantage. And then if you think it is, they might make, you know, 2 out of 7 hook shots or whatever, but, you know, the game has changed where you want to give up 2s and not 3s. So if you can keep a player in between the basket and in between the man and the basket, that's what you want. It's tough to play against. I mean, when you're switching out on shooters, you run pick and roll, they're switching, so now everything gets stagnant. You got to play one-on-one basketball. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, oh, they're holding the basketball, they're playing one-on-one. Well, they're switching everything. So you can run around all you want,
right,
and the guy comes open, they're switching out. So Korver doesn't have a shot, or, you know, Gordon doesn't have a shot. So now you got to get to the mismatch as fast as possible, and you got to play one-on-one to take advantage of that, to make 2 play the ball, and now you spray it out for jump shots. So it's just funny just hearing people talk about, you know, you playing one-on-one. Well, if they're switching 1 through 5, they're switching all the pin downs. What are you going to play? It doesn't, you know, it doesn't make sense. So it's definitely tough. It's changed the game, and, you know, once again, these 2 guys are changing the game, you know, once again. But, you know, we all got to catch up.
Fred, how do you adapt to those trends while keeping in mind your personnel, who you have on the floor, who's available to you, and what makes sense for your team?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that you have to determine based on what your players can do. And, you know, we study just like everybody up here, just like all 30 of us in this position, who's got great switch attack. Utah's an unbelievable switch attack team. They do some great things with it. Obviously, you know, Golden State with all their cutting and back screening and slipping and, you know, down screen, slip to the basket. You know, there's just so many good things, and it's hard. I mean, you know, you look at, you know, if I'm not mistaken, Golden State had the least ISOs in the league in the regular season, but based on all the switching that happened in the playoffs, you know, their ISOs doubled or tripled as it went on. And, you know, obviously they've got some great individual players, but they also keep movement. When their guys are in ISO situations, you look at that backside, they're not standing over there. They're all moving, and they're almost like running in a little circle, and then all of a sudden, boom, one of them breaks free and gets a layup right at the basket. So, you know, again, it's just studying all the different teams and what they do against the switching, and how can we utilize that for our team.
Mike, I began the segment by asking you the most positive change in the NBA since in your time involved. Before we go to break, if you had the chance to unilaterally change or eliminate any NBA rule, what would it be?
California wouldn't be part of the league. That might help people, especially the northern part of California, that Bay Area.
So more of a geographical.
Yeah, it's more of a, we have a hard time traveling there. I don't think it's good. What changed? Hey, you know how much money they're making? I don't think they're going to change anything. I think they're good.
Well, you're in charge in this scenario.
I think the game is good. Players are more skilled. We're going and switching now. They'll figure it out, and then you'll have to go someplace else, or bigs will come back. I mean, it'll keep evolving, and you just try to stay a little bit ahead, and have the personnel. You got to have the personnel.
Right.
I mean, it starts all there. And I think what's helped me is that from the owner, general manager, star players, and then the coach who's down here. I mean, they're all in line. And so I don't have that call at night. You know, what are y'all doing? Well, you know what we're doing. We're playing exactly the way we all want to play. And when you have that, then you have a chance to be successful. And, you know, we missed 27 straight threes, game 7.
I heard about that.
Yeah, I feel that. It's not going to change us.
Right.
You know, I hope we make 1 or 2. We're certain next year. That'd be nice. But we play a certain way. That's the way we're playing. We like that way. We think we have the players to play that way. We have different players. You got to play different ways. But we try to exploit what we have. We got 2 of the best ISO players in the game.
It's a good formula. More open court coaches coming up.
I think most of our problems come in when guys don't play. You know, all the kids want to be successful. They all want to, you know, be that guy. And my motto is just be a star in your role. You know, whatever your role is, to help win, for the team to win. And